The next thing that I wanted to talk about is something called active learning. I kind of finished the last lecture sort of alluding to active learning. But one of the things that I like to do before I start active learning is I like to talk about why we do it. Like, what is active learning and why we do it? So I'm just going to use a few minutes of the lecture here at the beginning to talk about, like, what is it and what's the point, right? Okay, so what is active learning? So active learning is when students, you guys, get a chance to turn to each other and discuss a problem that I give you, right? So what is active learning? It gives students time to, by the way, this is not in the course pack, to discuss problems. That is not how you spell problems. In groups. Okay, so you guys will get a chance. I'll say, like, all right, here's an example problem. You guys work on this for 3 minutes with each other, and then we'll get back to, lecturing after that is over. Okay, so why do we do it, though? What's the point here? And the point is, is that a student's attention over a 50-minute class period, so from 0 to 50, students' attention kind of goes like this. Like that. So how do we know this? Besides the fact that just psychologically, you probably all know it. If I'm sitting in a 50-minute lecture, I do get drowsy over time, right? And so what people have done in terms of studying this is they went through a 50-minute lecture, and then they had a quiz at the end. And the quiz had questions from different points of the lecture, so related to material from different points of the lecture. And there was a quiz question that was related to material that was at the beginning of the lecture. There was a quiz question related to material in the middle of the lecture. And there was a quiz question related to material near the end of the lecture. And most students got that one right. And a few students got this one right. And then most students did not get that one right. And so it just showed that over time, when the lecture progressed, students were less and less likely to retain the information, possibly because, your attention starts to wander. That's normal, right? But as time goes on, as the lecture goes on, your attention wanders more and more, and you're less likely to retain the information. And so what active learning does is it turns this curve around, okay? So your attention span starts here, but then if we do an active learning exercise, your attention goes up like that. And so what active learning tries to do is it tries to keep the attention and your ability to retain the information in the lecture high throughout the whole lecture, okay? So the point of active learning is that it keeps attention. I don't know why I'm writing it down like this, because you guys don't need to take notes on this, but that's fine. Okay, so other reasons for active learning. So I'm still going to keep writing because that's just what I plan to do. Okay, so other reasons for active learning. So if I tell you, okay, here's an example problem, I want you guys to work on it in your groups for 5 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever it is. If you figure out the answer, if you figure out the answer yourself, then you own it. It's different. It's a different level of learning than if I just tell you the answer, right? If not, if I give you a problem and in theory, I've taught you all the information you should know to be able to do the problem, and you struggle to get the answer, you'll be more motivated to pay attention. It's kind of like a wake-up call, right? You'll be more motivated to pay attention to the answer that's coming, and maybe also motivated to listen to the material so the next time you can answer it, okay? Also, group work is a plus. So learning how to turn to someone and sort of brainstorm things and come up with answers fairly quickly in groups is a plus. Okay, but there are criticisms to active learning. So there are people who say, you know what, but active learning is really not all that great. There are problems with it. Okay, so the first criticism is, if you do active learning, you won't be able to cover enough material because you take time out of a lecture like I'm doing right now, and that's material, time you could have spent covering the important material for the course. Okay, but the answer to that is That's what the course pack is for. So I don't have to write out here every sentence. You see how long it takes me to write a sentence? And if you guys are taking notes, you guys have to write that sentence. But if there's a lot of sentences that are already printed for you, or if figures are already drawn there for you, you don't have to spend time, I don't have to spend time drawing these figures. What we do is we spend time on the important parts, like deriving an equation, doing calculations, arriving at an answer, annotating figures that are already there, making connections between different parts of different sentences that are important, etc. So that's what the course pack is for. It's these pre-printed notes that kind of need to be filled in. A very famous chemical engineer named Rich Felder, who was one of the authors on maybe one of the textbooks you've used in here, he says these are handouts with gaps, right? So that's what he calls them. So that's what the course pack is for. Second criticism. If you let students talk among themselves, it'll be hard to control the class. And here's the answer to that. Yes, it's true. If you guys are talking, how am I going to get you to pay attention back up here to me? And the answer is, please don't be offended if I shout or clap really loud or say, guys, focus up here. We got to go through this together. Stop your talking, that sort of thing. Because at some point, I have to take control back, and Dr. Who has to take control back of the lecture so we can focus on here and actually get through the answer. Okay. Another criticism. How do you know students will be discussing the problem? Right? You guys could be discussing your vacation, your weekend, your significant other, your dog, right? So this is the answer to that. At the end of the active learning, I will call on you, and I will say, you, tell me what you guys discussed. What was your answer, right? And you'll be afraid of me saying that, so you want to have something to say, right? Now, there's a problem with that, because the counter-criticism to that is students don't like to be called on. And the answer to that is true, right? No one wants to be called on. And in fact, if I gave you a problem right now, and I sat here waiting without active learning, and everyone would be, kind of sitting there, and it'd be awkward, right? And I said, all right, now you tell me the answer. You would be embarrassed. You'd be super embarrassed. You wouldn't want to tell me what you were thinking, right? But here's the thing. If you do active learning, then you're in a group, you talk to each other, and then if I call on you and you get it wrong, you can blame everybody else in your group, right? So that's the way active learning works. There is a little bit of discomfort in here because you do have to talk to people next to you whom you may not know, and you do have to divulge your answer when you're called upon. But it works more smoothly because of you being able to blame the rest of your group when I call on you. And also it really increases the amount of learning that we can do in here. And so that's why I find active learning to be really helpful. Before we then go into our first active learning exercise, are there any questions? Of course not. Because no one wants to speak up. That's why we do active learning, right?